Mike Tyson sat alone in the dimly lit room, the weight of his past bearing down on him like the crushing blows he once delivered in the ring. At 56 years old, the boxing legend had finally decided to confront the demons that had haunted him for decades, determined to reveal a truth that would shake the very foundation of his storied career. His hands trembled as he reached for the glass of whiskey, the amber liquid a familiar comfort in this moment of vulnerability. Tyson had spent a lifetime cultivating the image of Iron Mike, a ruthless, unforgiving fighter whose name struck fear into the hearts of his opponents. But now, as the years had passed, he could no longer deny the weight of his actions and the toll they had taken on his soul. With a deep breath, Tyson began to speak, his voice low and ragged, a far cry from the booming, intimidating tone that had once made him a household name. "You know, people think they know me, but they have no idea what I've been through. The things I've done, the mistakes I've made, they haunt me every single day." He paused, his eyes distant, as if reliving the darkest moments of his past. "I was a lost kid, grew up on the streets, fighting just to survive. Boxing was my way out, my chance to prove myself. But it came at a price I'm still paying today." Tyson's gaze hardened, a glimmer of the old fire igniting in his eyes. "I did some terrible things I'm not proud of. Hurt people, hurt myself, went to prison, lost everything. But that's not the whole story. There's something I've never told anyone, something that changed the course of my life forever." The former champion leaned forward, his expression intense, as if daring the listener to interrupt him. "When I was in that cell, alone with my thoughts, I had an epiphany. I realized that the path I was on, the life I was living, it was destroying me. I had to change, had to find a way to break free from the demons that had consumed me." Tyson's voice grew softer, almost a whisper. "So I did. I found a way to forgive myself, to let go of the anger and the hate that had been eating me alive. It wasn't easy, but it was the only way I could start to heal, to become the man I was always meant to be." He paused, a wise smile crossing his lips. "People still look at me and see Iron Mike, the brutal, unforgiving fighter. But that's not who I am anymore. I'm a different man, a better man, and I'm ready to tell the world the truth, to finally shed the weight of my past and embrace the future." Tyson's gaze met the listeners, a fierce determination burning within them. "I'm going to tell my story, the whole story, no holds barred, and I don't care what anyone thinks, because this is my truth, and it's time the world heard it." With those words, Tyson downed the last of his whiskey, the amber liquid burning his throat as he swallowed. He stood up, his movements steady and sure, a man reborn from the ashes of his troubled past.
As he turned to leave, the weight that had once burdened him seemed to have lifted, replaced by a newfound sense of purpose and a determination to finally confront the ghosts that had haunted him for so long. Mike Tyson stood up, his movements steady and sure, a man reborn from the ashes of his troubled past. As he turned to leave, a sudden commotion outside the room caught his attention. Raised voices, the sound of scuffling feet, and a woman's terrified scream pierced the air. Tyson froze, his instincts kicking in as he rushed to the door, throwing it open to see a chaotic scene unfolding in the hallway. Two men were grappling with a young woman, her eyes wide with terror as she struggled to break free from their grasp. Without hesitation, Tyson surged forward, his powerful frame easily overpowering the would-be assailants. With a few swift movements, he had them pinned to the ground, his grip unyielding as the woman gasped for breath, her clothes disheveled but unharmed. "What the hell is going on here?" Tyson demanded, his voice booming with authority. The men squirmed beneath his hold, their eyes filled with a mixture of fear and defiance. "This is none of your business, old man," one of them spat. Tyson's eyes narrowed, the fire of his past reigniting within him. "The hell it isn't! You try to attack a woman in my presence and you better believe it's my business." He turned to the woman, his expression softening. "You all right, darling?" She nodded shakily, her voice barely above a whisper. I think so. Thank you, Mr. Tyson. Tyson's gaze returned to the men, his grip tightening. Now you two are going to tell me exactly what the hell you were trying to do, and you'd better make it good, because I ain't in the mood for any bullshit. The men exchanged uneasy glances, their bravado quickly fading in the face of Tyson's formidable presence. One of them finally spoke up, his voice trembling. Look, we were just trying to get some information out of her, that's all. She's got something we want, and we weren't going to let her walk away without it. Tyson's brow furrowed. Information? What the hell are you talking about? The other man piped up, his eyes pleading. Please, you gotta understand, this is bigger than you know. This woman, she's got evidence that could destroy everything. We can't let her talk, you see. Tyson's grip tightened, his jaw clenching. Evidence? Of what? The men exchanged another uneasy glances, their faces etched with fear. Of your past, Mr. Tyson. She's got proof of the things you did, the people you hurt. If she goes public with it, it'll ruin you, ruin everything. Tyson's world seemed to freeze, the air around him growing thick with tension. He turned to the woman, his eyes searching her face for any sign of the truth. Is this true? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Do you have proof of the things I've done? The woman hesitated, her eyes darting between Tyson and the two men.
I don't know what they're talking about, she stammered. I was just walking down the hallway when they grabbed me. Tyson's grip on the men tightened, his knuckles turning white. Don't you lie to me, girl. These bastards wouldn't be after you if you didn't have something I don't want the world to see. So I'm going to ask you one more time. Do you have proof of my past? The woman's eyes widened, her lips trembling. I don't know what you're talking about. I swear, I'm just an innocent bystander. Tyson's gaze narrowed, his mind racing as he tried to make sense of the situation. The men's words had shaken him to the core, ripping open wounds he thought he had long since healed. And now, this woman, this complete stranger, somehow held the key to the darkest secrets of his past. He knew he had to get to the bottom of this, no matter the cost. His legacy, his redemption, everything he had worked for, it all hung in the balance. And he would be damned if he let it all come crashing down now. With a deep breath, Tyson turned to the woman, his eyes reflecting a mixture of determination and dread. I'm sorry, darling, but I can't let you leave here until I know the truth. Whatever you've got, whatever you know, I need to see it. This is a matter of life and death for me, you understand? The woman's eyes widened in fear, her voice trembling. I don't know what you're talking about. Please, you have to believe me. Tyson's expression hardened, his grip on the two men unwavering. I'm afraid I can't do that, sweetheart. Not until I get some answers. So you'd better start talking, and you'd better make it good, 'cause I ain't got all day. The woman's gaze darted frantically, her mind racing as she realized the perilous situation she had found herself in. Tyson's past, it seemed, was about to be laid bare, and she was the unwitting witness to a truth that could shatter everything. Here is a new chapter continuing the story. Tyson's gaze bore into the woman, his eyes narrowed as he searched for any sign of deception. The two men squirmed beneath his iron grip, their bravado quickly fading in the face of the former champion's imposing presence. All right, let's try this again, Tyson said, his voice low and gruff. You tell me right now what kind of proof you have about my past, or I swear I'll make you regret the day you ever crossed paths with Iron Mike. The woman's lips trembled, her eyes darted between Tyson and the two men. I really don't know what you're talking about, she stammered. I was just walking down the hall, minding my own business, when these two grabbed me. I have no idea what kind of proof they think I have. One of the men let out a frustrated growl. Don't play dumb with us, lady. We know you've got something that could ruin Tyson's whole career. Now you're going to tell us what it is, or else. Tyson's grip tightened, his knuckles turning white.
Or else what, huh? You two clowns think you can threaten me in my own place? I'll tell you what's going to happen. If you don't start talking, and I mean really talking, I'm going to make sure you both end up in the hospital. And trust me, you don't want to see what I can do when I'm pissed off. The woman's eyes widened in fear, her voice barely above a whisper. Please, Mr. Tyson, I really don't know anything. I'm just an innocent bystander who got caught up in all this. I swear, I have no idea what kind of proof they're talking about. Tyson's gaze narrowed, his frustration growing. All right, enough of this bullshit. If you won't talk, then maybe these two will. Start spilling, or I'll make sure you both end up wishing you'd never been born. The men exchanged a panicked look, their faces etched with terror. "Look, man, we don't know exactly what she has. All we know is that someone tipped us off that she's got something that could bring Tyson down. Something big, you know?" Tyson's brow furrowed. "Bring me down? What the hell are you talking about?" The other man piped up, his voice trembling. We heard you've got a secret, something you've been hiding for years, and this woman, she's got proof of it, proof that could ruin your whole reputation, your whole legacy." Tyson's heart raced, his mind reeling. A secret? Something he'd been hiding for years? His past had haunted him, but he thought he had finally come to terms with it, made peace with the demons that had once consumed him. "What are you talking about?" he demanded, his voice laced with a mixture of fear and anger. "What kind of secret do you think I've been hiding?" The men exchanged another uneasy glance, their faces pale with dread. We don't know the details, all right? All we know is that this woman, she's got something that could expose the truth about what really happened all those years ago. The truth about the person you killed." Tyson's world seemed to freeze, the air around him thick with a suffocating silence. The words echoed in his mind, shattering the fragile facade he had constructed over the years. "The person I killed?" he whispered, his voice barely audible. The men nodded, their eyes pleading. "Look, man, we don't know the full story, but we heard it was big, something you've been keeping under wraps for decades, and this woman, she's got the proof to blow it all wide open." Tyson's grip on the men loosened, his body suddenly feeling heavy, as if the weight of his past had come crashing down upon him. His mind raced, memories of that fateful night flooding back, the images vivid and agonizing. He had always known the truth, the burden he had carried for so long. But to have it laid bare, to have it threatened to be exposed, it was more than he could bear. Tyson's gaze shifted to the woman, his eyes filled with a mixture of desperation and dread. "Please," he whispered, his voice cracking with emotion. "Please, you have to tell me what you know."
"I need to know the truth." The woman's eyes widened, her expression a mixture of fear and confusion. I don't know what you're talking about," she stammered. "I really don't have any proof or secrets or anything. I'm just an innocent bystander who got caught up in all this." Tyson felt his heart sink, the weight of his past closing in around him. He had always known that the truth would one day catch up to him, but he had never imagined it would come to this. And now, with the fate of his legacy hanging in the balance, he knew he had to confront the demons that had haunted him for so long. As he stared into the woman's eyes, Tyson felt a sense of resignation wash over him. Whatever happened next, he knew he would have to face the consequences of his actions, no matter how painful they might be. The time had come to finally confront the truth, no matter how devastating it might be. Here is a new chapter continuing the story. Tyson's mind raced as he tried to make sense of the men's shocking accusations. The thought of someone exposing the darkest secret of his past filled him with a bone-deep dread. He had spent so many years burying that truth, convincing himself that he had atoned for his sins, and now it threatened to come crashing down around him. He turned to the woman, his eyes pleading, "Please, you have to understand. Whatever you think you know, whatever these men are saying, it's not that simple. There's so much more to the story, things you couldn't possibly understand." The woman shook her head, her expression a mix of fear and confusion. "I'm telling you, I don't know anything about a secret or proof or any of that. I'm just an innocent person who got caught up in this whole mess." Tyson's grip on the two men tightened, his knuckles turning white. "You two, start talking. What exactly do you think this woman has that could ruin me?" One of the men swallowed hard, his voice trembling. We heard that she has evidence, proof that you killed someone back in the day, something you covered up, something that could destroy your whole legacy if it got out." Tyson felt his heart pounding in his chest, the weight of those words crushing him. He had always known the truth, the burden he had carried for so long, but to have it laid bare like this was more than he could bear. "That's impossible," he growled, his voice laced with desperation. I never killed anyone. Whatever you think you know, it's a lie. I've worked too damn hard to build a new life, to make up for my past. I won't let you take that away from me."
The men exchanged a nervous glance, their bravado fading in the face of Tyson's raw emotion. "Look, man, we're just the messengers here. We don't know all the details, but we heard there was something big, something you've been hiding. And this woman, she's got the proof to blow it all wide open." Tyson turned to the woman, his eyes searching her face for any sign of deceit. "Please, you have to believe me."
I'm not the monster they're making me out to be. Whatever you think you know, it's not the whole story. The woman's expression softened, a glimmer of sympathy in her eyes. "I really don't know anything, Mr. Tyson. I swear, I'm just an innocent bystander who got caught up in all this. I don't have any proof or secrets or anything like that." Tyson felt a wave of relief wash over him, but it was quickly replaced by a sense of dread. If these men were telling the truth, and someone did have evidence of his darkest secret, then his entire life could come crashing down. "Then who the hell told you about this?" he demanded, his voice laced with desperation. "Who else knows about this supposed proof?" The men exchanged another uneasy glance, their faces etched with fear. We don't know, man. All we know is that someone tipped us off that this woman had something that could ruin you. We were just trying to get the information before she could go public with it." Tyson's mind raced, the pieces of the puzzle slowly coming together. If someone else knew about his secret, then his carefully constructed life could be torn apart in an instant. He had to find out who else was involved, and he had to do it before they could expose the truth. As he stared at the trembling men and the confused woman, Tyson felt a chill run down his spine. The ghosts of his past had come back to haunt him, and this time the stakes were higher than ever before. "All right, listen up," he said, his voice low and determined. "I'm going to let you two go, but I want you to tell whoever's behind this that I'm coming for them. They can try to bury me, but I'll be damned if I let them take everything I've built. And as for you, sweetheart," he said, turning to the woman, "I'm sorry you got caught up in all this, but I need you to stay put until I figure out what the hell is going on." The woman's eyes widened in fear, but before she could protest, Tyson had already released the men and was striding towards the door, his mind racing with a sense of urgency and dread. He knew that whatever was about to happen, it would change the course of his life forever, and he was determined to face it head-on, no matter the cost. As he stepped out into the hallway, Tyson felt a surge of adrenaline coursing through his veins. The ghosts of his past had come back to haunt him, and he was ready to confront them, once and for all. Here is a new 800-word chapter continuing the story. Tyson's mind was racing as he hurried down the hallway, his heart pounding. He had to get to the bottom of this, to find out who was trying to expose his darkest secret. The thought of someone revealing the truth about what had happened all those years ago filled him with a sense of pure dread. He knew he had to tread carefully. This wasn't just about his reputation or his legacy. It was about his very soul.
The guilt and shame he had carried for so long had nearly destroyed him, and he had fought tooth and nail to find redemption. But now, it seemed like all of that was about to come crashing down. As Tyson approached the lobby, he scanned the room, his eyes searching for any sign of the men who had confronted him. He needed to find them, to get more information, to figure out who was behind this. But just as he was about to head out the door, a familiar voice stopped him in his tracks. "Well, well, if it isn't the great Mike Tyson. I never thought I'd see the day when you'd be running around like a scared little boy." Tyson whirled around, his eyes narrowing as they landed on a man he had hoped never to see again. "You," he growled, his voice dripping with venom. It was Don King, the legendary boxing promoter who had once been Tyson's mentor and closest ally. But their relationship had always been a complex and tumultuous one, and now it seemed the ghosts of their past had come back to haunt them both. "What the hell are you doing here, Don?" Tyson demanded, his fists clenching at his sides. King let out a cold, mirthless laugh. "Why, I'm here to help you, of course. I heard about your little predicament, and I couldn't resist the opportunity to lend a hand." Tyson's eyes narrowed. "Help me? What are you talking about?"
King's expression darkened, his eyes glinting with a malicious gleam. Oh, come now, Mike. You know exactly what I'm talking about. That little secret you've been hiding all these years, the one that could bring your entire empire crashing down. I'm here to make sure that never happens. Tyson felt a chill run down his spine. How the hell do you know about that? He demanded. And what do you mean you're here to help me? King let out a sigh, his expression one of feigned concern. My dear friend, did you really think you could keep a lid on that little incident forever? I've had my ear to the ground for years, just waiting for the right moment to strike. Tyson's mind raced, his heart pounding in his chest. What are you saying, Don? What do you know? King leaned in, his voice low and ominous. I know everything, Mike. I know about the night well, let's just say, I know the truth. And I also know that someone, somewhere, has the proof to back it up. And they're planning to use it to bring you down, once and for all. Tyson felt the color drain from his face. No, that's impossible. I've worked so hard to bury that, to make up for it. You can't just waltz in here and threaten to expose it. King chuckled, his expression one of pure amusement. Oh, but I can, my friend, and I will. Unless, of course, you're willing to make a little deal with me. Tyson's eyes narrowed. A deal? What the hell are you talking about? King leaned in closer, his voice barely above a whisper.
I'm talking about saving your legacy, Mike. Saving everything you've built. All you have to do is...
Well, let's just say I have a few business ventures that could use your unique expertise. Tyson felt bile rise in his throat. You want me to do your dirty work, is that it? After all these years, you still think you can just pull my strings and make me dance to your tune? King shrugged, his expression nonchalant. Call it what you will, Mike. But the fact is, I hold the key to your salvation. And if you want to keep your precious reputation intact, you're going to have to play by my rules. Tyson's mind raced, his emotions a whirlwind of fury, desperation, and fear. He had worked so hard to put his past behind him, to build a new life, and now it was all threatened by the very man who had once been his closest ally. But as he stared into King's cold, calculating eyes, Tyson knew that he had no choice. The stakes were too high, the consequences too devastating. He had to play along, at least for now, and find a way to outsmart the man who had once betrayed him. With a deep breath, Tyson nodded, his expression grim. All right, Don, you win. What do you want me to do? King's lips curled into a sinister smile. Excellent, my friend. I knew you'd see things my way. Now, let's discuss the details of our little arrangement. Tyson braced himself, knowing that he was about to embark on a dangerous and uncertain path. But as he followed King out of the lobby, he couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning of a much larger and more terrifying battle to come. Here is the final 800-word chapter to conclude the story. Man, that whole thing with Tyson was just wild, you know? I still can't believe everything that went down. But I'll tell you, the way he handled it in the end, that was something else. So after Tyson agreed to work with that sleazeball Don King, the two of them disappeared for a while. None of us knew exactly what they were up to, but we could tell it was something big, something dangerous. Tyson had that look in his eye, like he was ready to go to war. Turns out, King had some pretty serious dirt on Tyson, something about a secret from his past that could ruin him if it ever got out. Apparently, someone had evidence of Tyson being involved in a death back in the day. I don't know all the details, but it was bad news, real bad news. King was using that information to blackmail Tyson, forcing him to do all sorts of shady stuff for his business. Tyson wasn't happy about it, but he had no choice. His whole legacy, everything he'd built, was on the line. He couldn't risk it all being torn down, not after he'd worked so hard to turn his life around. But Tyson's never been one to just roll over and take it, you know? He might have agreed to King's terms, but you could tell he was plotting, thinking of a way to turn the tables. And sure enough, a few weeks later, all hell broke loose. It was like something out of a movie, man.
Tyson arranged this big meeting with King, some kind of business deal they were working on. But when King showed up, Tyson was ready. He had a whole team of lawyers and private investigators with him, all armed with evidence of King's own shady dealings. Turns out, Tyson had been working behind the scenes, digging up dirt on his old mentor. He'd found all kinds of stuff: tax evasion, fraud, even links to organized crime. And he was ready to expose it all to bring King down in the most spectacular way possible. When King realized what was happening, his face just drained of color. He knew he was trapped, that Tyson had outmaneuvered him. And Tyson, he just laid it all out there. Everything that King had done to him over the years, the way he tried to manipulate and control him. It was a total bloodbath, man. King tried to plead, to bargain, but Tyson wasn't having any of it. He'd had enough of being King's puppet, of living in fear of his past being exposed. This was his chance to finally take back control, to reclaim his life and his legacy. In the end, King had no choice but to admit defeat. Tyson had him dead to rights, and he knew it. So he agreed to a deal. He'd hand over the evidence that could ruin Tyson, and in exchange, Tyson would keep all of King's dirty secrets under wraps. It was a win-win for Tyson, a way to finally put this whole mess behind him. As for the woman who had supposedly had that evidence, the one who got caught up in all of this, well, Tyson made sure she was taken care of. He had his people track her down, explain the situation, and compensate her for the trouble. She was just an innocent bystander after all, and Tyson didn't want her getting caught in the crossfire. When it was all said and done, Tyson emerged victorious. He'd outmaneuvered the man who had once been his closest ally, reclaiming his freedom and his reputation in the process. It was a hard-fought battle, no doubt, but Tyson had proven that he was no longer the same impulsive, troubled kid he'd once been. These days, Tyson's living his best life. He's still involved in boxing, of course, but he's also found other passions, like acting and philanthropy. He's using his platform to do some real good in the world, to inspire people and give back. And you can tell he's finally at peace with his past, no longer haunted by the ghosts that once threatened to consume him. It's a hell of a story, isn't it? I still can't believe I got to witness it all firsthand. But that's just how it goes sometimes, right? The legends, the scandals, the comebacks, it's all part of the fabric of this crazy world we live in. And with a guy like Mike Tyson, you just know it's going to be one hell of a ride.